Here's a story we followed over the past couple of years, which takes an interesting new turn this morning. You'll know Sammie McFarland from Dorchester. She set up the organisation LongCovidKids after her teenage daughter came down with COVID and the long-term impact of that illness. Well, Sammie is in London today because LongCovidKids has been asked to give evidence to the COVID inquiry. Sammie, appreciate you joining us this morning. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
So what is your access to the inquiry today? How long will you be giving evidence? What kinds of things will you have an opportunity to say?
So today isn't about giving evidence. Today is a directions hearing, so it's all the legal stuff that I'm probably not going to understand much about. But it's really our legal team setting out exactly what we're hoping to achieve in the inquiry, and making sure that we've got a full understanding of what is expected of us, and then I think the main hearings actually start from spring.
I see. So do you have a date or time sort of scheduled in next year where you get to talk about your experiences and those of the other members of the group?
So we've submitted statements, and our legal team will represent us through those statements, and then there will be opportunities, I believe, as we go through, depending on what comes up, for us to then give personal evidence as well. The inquiry actually has a listening project as well, which allows people who have long COVID or who would like to make any input into the inquiry to actually record videos. That's not yet started, but I believe that's underway. So we're just really grateful that Baroness Howlett recognised that the long COVID groups are well placed to assist Module 2, because it's such an important part of the pandemic, the morbidity and the mortality.
Yeah. What do you make of, I know it's, as you say, it's only just sort of really getting up into gear now, but what do you make of what you've seen of the inquest so far, the inquiry so far rather, and the scope that it is operating with?
So I'm probably not the best person to answer that question, but what I have seen is it seems to be really thorough, and that, there's been a lot of documents produced on the COVID inquiry website. So I think that's really useful. So I'm hopeful that we will get the answers that we seek.
Yeah, and what about where we're at generally at the moment? I mean, well, let's talk about you guys first of all. How are you as a family with your symptoms of long COVID?
No, thank you for asking. So my daughter is doing a little bit better. She's managing to attend some education now, so gone 30 months of her being ill. She's making some progress, but she's still very unwell and having to take medication, do certain protocols. She uses a mobility scooter at college, and she's only there part-time. So things are progressing, but it's a new way of living rather than a recovery. And obviously we're still hoping that the research will, bring that cure that everybody wants. And for myself, I'm very much up and down. I have longer periods where I can be out of bed and longer periods where I can be on my feet, which is great. But I'm nowhere near the person that I was, and I'm certainly not able to do the exercise that I love so much.
Yeah. And I don't know where we're at with COVID stats at the moment, like in this particular week, but I wonder, going into winter, temperatures yet to really take a turn for the colder, and, the impact that has on all of us in terms of respiratory illnesses generally, let alone COVID. Are you wary about what this winter has in store for us?
I think we all have to be really aware that the messaging has been very unclear, and that's unhelpful. And it's going to take a community approach if we want to reduce the levels of COVID. And, a couple of weeks ago, the levels were at the highest they've ever been, and yet they're not reported in the news. And as we go into the winter and doors start to close and windows start to shut, then I imagine that we're going to see, unfortunately, cases go back up. So it's about that sort of taking those simple steps that we can all take, wearing a mask when around others indoors, especially opening a window, making sure there's ventilation, getting a vaccine if it's available to you, and really thinking about just keeping on top of it and remembering that it hasn't gone away.
Yeah. Look, Sammie, I wish you and your daughter well with your health stuff, and wish you good luck with the legalese today. I hope that you keep your legal glossary handy for for all the definitions you might need.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate you joining us this morning. Sammie McFarland from Dorchester, the founder of LongCovidKids in London today, as part of that inquiry into COVID and the way that it was dealt with over the last couple of years. It's 2 minutes to 8. Before we get to the news with Al, I just wanted to